aspects of aging, isn't it more like aspects of just life, like your feelings, psychological norms? Isn't it just for every demographic that these sort of things happen? Well, the difference that I've seen, I used to be a teacher in a classroom. And of course, I've lived my life with my demographic, my peer group, my friends. And then here I went into caregiving and I noticed something different. It's just a change in perspective. Sometimes I say it's like you're turning around and looking back at the rest of your life. Sometimes I think of it as you've climbed this ladder, whatever, your ladder of success, or you've hit a new height in your life, and you're just taking those steps upward as you're pursuing your career or new things that you want to do or be informed about, or expanding your circles of influence or expanding your family. But now you've climbed so high on this ladder, you almost feel like your head is going to start bumping against a ceiling. And you realize that this ladder that you've been climbing, you haven't really thought about the top of the ladder, but now you know that there will be a point where you have climbed to the height. It may be that it will be the end of your life. It may be that it's the last time you have an opportunity to do something in particular because your abilities are changing. It may be the last time that you will be with people of your age because you're going to a lot of memorials now. It could be just that that's the last thing, the last time you want to attempt that. You're good, you're done. But anyway, you've gotten up really high on this ladder, and there's a point at which you won't be able to get higher. And so these aspects hit you differently in your 80s, 90s, and 100s than they did even in your 70s. So before we hit the three aspects today, I wanted to make sure that I answered the question that was from the last episode. And it is simply get your kicks on Route 66, almost 2,500 miles long and almost 100 years old as a highway. So our aspects today, one of them is controlling interest. And I want to make sure that you knew that that's the polar opposite of financial exploitation. And I call it the polar opposite because if you were clear up at the North Pole, or is the South Pole clear up there? But anyway, if you were at that pole, you would be as far as you possibly could from the other side of the earth. And instead of financial problems or financial challenges, financial decision making that hasn't been decided yet, instead of all of that coming at you, hitting you off guard, putting you off balance, instead, none of these crises, all these aspects of aging, none of them are happening to you right now. I mean, you've gotten a little taste of it, the old shot over the bow, but it isn't a problem yet. You're not having to deal with it. And you become extremely proactive and you start writing out, you start visiting with professionals and checking to make sure that there's someone ready to notarize things. Suddenly you're mapping out, making spreadsheets about how you do your business, how you run your company, how you pay your bills, how you budget for every month or for each year, depending on the different bills that you're paying, the way that you choose to spend money just for fun. All of these things, you're starting to be very intentional about who should take over decision making, who should take over ownership. And you're getting this all laid out. And that is what I mean by controlling interest. It is on your own terms. And you are thinking in terms of how you're going to release the balloon rather than how are you going to keep all of these juggling items in the air, or who's going to catch them because they're falling out of your hands. The next aging aspect is what I called getting your panny medi, getting your mani pedi. No, this is pan as in every or all, like a panorama, just getting the whole view of some beautiful national monument or amazing sunset into your frame. So, what you're putting into your frame is everything medical, the names of all your different specialists, uh, the the title of the place that you go for dentures or partials or maybe some specific specialist that you would like to visit again. It wasn't just a one-time thing. All of those, the locations, the addresses, the phone numbers, the last time you were there, just all of that information all in one spot. Now, maybe that would be a good time to purchase some sort of a tablet, and that it's the tablet's really dedicated to that information. So you know that when it's handed over to a person who is your caregiver for the first time, you've never needed a caregiver before, but it's all right there, clear back to 10 years ago, who you saw, what happened there, how to get a hold of them, what they prescribed for you. And speaking of prescriptions, that's what you've got in there, all the details. We as caregivers need to know the strength, the milligrams, the drug interactions, the possible side effects. We need to have that all in mind. We need to have it documented, how often you take it. Is it when you need it? Is it with food? Is it only once per month? There are so many different little details. Your favorite pharmacy, all of that information all in one spot. Collecting it now means that in the future, you don't have to think back. No one has to guess. No one has to start from scratch. The next aspect, the third aspect, is expectation exceptions. And I think I might have titled that differently. But anyway, it's the exception to what you were expecting. And it has to do with individuals who are truly interested in intentional aging. And the first thing you say is, why is that of interest to you? You're so young. You're much younger than anyone I would ever expect to be involved, not just employed, not just a person who serves food or cleans a room or even helps you with a craft or exercises at a senior living facility. No, this is a person who is truly interested in all these aspects of aging. They became this way because they helped to be a caregiver for maybe a grandparent. They headed this direction because their personality is like an old soul. They love history. They love hearing stories from people, and they want to hear more. They have it in their mind that they want to maybe become someday a doctor, a lawyer. They want to work in the entertainment and hospitality industry. Maybe they want to be a teacher, but they're starting to think, what about a teacher in behavioral sciences in the gerontology section? They're starting to think, if I want to be a doctor, maybe I don't want to deal with whole families or crying babies, or I don't want to particularly want to specify one particular kind of disease. But I would love to work with people like my grandparents, like the older people that go to my church, like the people in my neighborhood that I've always done yard work for. I would love to work with them and just to know them and to be around them and the way they talk and act. I just am fascinated by them. So that is actually an aspect of aging, to be surprised at how such a young person could be interested in your demographic, your life history, your massive life experiences. And it's just another great part of continuing to live longer and longer. Now, my question for this time is, what should you do when you need legal, financial, or medical advice? If you've heard any of the podcasts, if you've watched any of the Aging Better Network podcasts, you already know the answer to this question. I would like to highlight today number 7 in the prompted journal, Pre-Act Your Age, with the answer keys. It's the teacher's edition with all the answers for you. And number 7, it sounds kind of nice at first. I fell upon this 3-word phrase: reasonable, relational, impactions. But if you know anything about something being impacted, like a wisdom tooth, or the drain underneath your house that takes all of the what you don't want anymore out to the sewer, then an impaction is not good. It clogs things up, it's painful, it causes destruction, and it is something that you want it to be over with right away. Now, the way to get it over with is not enjoyable. To take care of an impacted tooth, to take care of an impaction in your sewer pipe, it's not pleasant. But when there is success, oh, you are so grateful. It's not fun to think about how difficult your aging is going to be on the people who are around you, who care about you. They can't help it. Maybe you don't want them to worry about you or to try to make things better, but they can't help it. They're just not going to let you stumble into something that's just going to make your entire golden years tarnished. So these are reasonable things. They are things that, if you think them through, that could happen in your family, amongst your friends, even with the people who are your professional associates, maybe at work, maybe having to do with their background and their expertise, and you go to them for work, for paperwork to be done. All of those people will be impacted by your aging, including your doctor and your lawyer and some of these other people that we've talked about today. The next three aspects of aging are afraid of getting older. This is probably the first time that's happened. Maybe you didn't like the idea of getting older because you didn't want to appear like you weren't young anymore. But this time, there's actually a trepidation. The second one is the Great Incontinental Divide. The Great Continental Divide in the United States is where all the rivers are either flowing pretty much to the east or pretty much to the west. Well, this is a different kind of flow. It has to do with incontinence. So I called it the Great Incontinental Divide. And the last one, isolation and loneliness. How that is different with aging, coupled with the number of birthday candles you were blowing out last time, as opposed to younger years when it seems like, okay, this will be over with soon, or there's a way around this, or I can make my way out of this. I can use technology to help with my isolation, loneliness. I can look to maybe something new, a new hobby, or become part of a bowling team or something like that. Those options, that list is just getting a lot shorter as you continue to age. So it is different after you've reached that point of being a senior. So those are the three aspects that you can pre-plan for better outcomes in the third of your life. I would like to end by saying, yes, I am Christine A. Smith, and all I'm doing is trying to change the culture of age defying, age decrying, age denying difficulties and how do I describe this? People are relying on their ability to be anti-aging, and they're forgetting to be proactively, intentionally marching into this demographic of their own life, something they've been aiming toward their whole life, but they just didn't realize it. So all I'm trying to do is change the culture in 3 generations. The one that is aging ahead of you, the generation that is following you, and yours, because I am the aging enthusiast.